This is Hino's the Sport, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping the foot on the whoop on the next. We keeping the foot on the whoop on the next. And like the Tibetan Mastiff that I am, I'm applying whoop unlimited pressure. Because pressure does whoop, he bursts his pipes. Let's talk about it, man. Richie Rich, what's up, man? Talk to them.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. This is a new year. Just trying to start this new year off on a positive note. Hopefully, there's possible uh, much better outcomes that happen new year. With throughout this new year, last year was pretty rough. You know, uh, Dealing with this whole COVID-19 thing. Uh, Hopefully, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm positive there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel with all this. We're going to be able to get back to normalcy as a people, as a world, but I'm looking forward to bigger and better things, especially with the platform that he knows has, as we go in and we're discussing more about basketball and, bringing you guys, all the information, so look forward to it. I know this is going to be a big year. A lot of positive things are going to happen for this platform, for you guys, tuning in to this platform. And let's go, man. Let's get it. Let's get ready for it.
That's what's up, man. Salute, man. That's what I'm talking about. Joel Hayward, salute, man. Richie Rich, big ups for you for saying that 2021 is going to be about purge. You ever watch that movie Purge? It's the year of purge, man. So we purging and we rising like the phoenix from the ashes, man. So let's get on to the video. All right, let's get on to this live. First up, Kobe Bean Bryant, slam dunk giant. Let's talk about his impact with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The first topic up, Kobe Bryant talked about how he was going to institute the Mamba Academy. Now, the recipients that followed suit over the Mamba Academy, the first unofficial recipient, although he wasn't ingratiated into the Mamba Academy himself, but he was getting unofficial Mamba Academy tutelage. And this is what inspired Kobe Bryant to basically create the Mamba Academy was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did to Kobe Bryant what Kobe Bryant did to Michael Jordan. He was hitting up Kobe Bryant, always looking up for mentorship. Because unlike the other Mamba Academy recipients, Kevin Durant was that player that was already complete from a basketball standpoint. He just needed to get his mental evolution. So he would hit up Kobe, the Picasso. He would hit up Kobe, the Beethoven. He would hit up Kobe, the guy that could paint a picture, the Socrates, the Plato of basketball, the guy that was the philosopher on the basketball court, the Black Mamba, the guy that could strike at a 99.9% accuracy rate. And if you guys want to understand why he called himself the Black Mamba, is because the Black Mamba strikes at a 99.9% accuracy rate. And Kevin Durant, you could see every talk that he had with Kobe Bryant, every mentorship that he had with Kobe Bryant, every ingratiation, every indoctrination that he had with Kobe Bryant, it evolved his game. It gave his game a evolution. We saw Kevin Durant throughout the years expand his game. He ended up having a more of an expansive basketball game. He was able to put the ball on the floor. He was able to pick and pop. He was able to do turnaround shots. He was able to do fadeaways. He was able to do double fadeaways. He was able to do up and unders. He was able to basically know how to feel the defense with his legs. Information that Michael Jordan passed down to Kobe Bryant that Kobe Bryant ended up translating to Kevin Durant. So when people sit here and say that Kobe Bryant passed the game to LeBron James, Kobe Bryant never had these kind of conversations with LeBron James. So how could he pass the game to LeBron James? You Rudy Poor, you plum plum braids, you classic Dalton, you troglodytes, you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. If you listen to Kobe and you listen to LeBron James was supposedly so busy that he couldn't get tutelage from Kobe Bryant. He was supposedly so busy that he couldn't get tutelage from Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And you guys see that he's an abysmal 4 for 10, 40% NBA Finals averager and performer, a guff of folk, greatest Finals failure of all time. LeBron James could teach you how to lose as opposed to winning, right? If you would have got the tutelage, his game would have become expansive. Now, you can't teach clutchness. You can't define clutchness. But what you can do is you can work on your game and develop it. Anybody can develop their game from a fundamental standpoint. But Kevin Durant wanted to get his game to the next level. So Kevin Durant talked about how he studied Kobe Bryant exclusively, extensively. He talked about how he studied Michael Jordan exclusively and extensively. And you know what he came to the conclusion? That anybody at basketball 303 lane or higher is supposed to come to? These guys are basketball savants. These guys are basketball extraordinaires. These guys are basketball gurus. These guys are guys that understand the totality, the full weight, and the full gravity of basketball. They understand what the game of basketball is all about. They've mastered the game. Until this day, Kevin Durant studies them. And you know what the biggest thing Kevin Durant did? And see, that's why I say Kevin Durant is the natural order of basketball restorer, where he comes back to restore the natural order of basketball. Kevin Durant didn't make Kobe Bryant's memorial about him. LeBron James did. And this is why it's sad that even LeBron tards couldn't get it. LeBron made it about him. Kevin Durant said, there's nothing. Go look at what Kevin Durant just recently said. There's nothing too big that I can do that can overshadow what just happened. There's nothing too big that any of us could do. Leave it to the natural basketball of restorer, or the guy who's restoring the natural order of basketball, to tell you the cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat fashion, which is nothing's too big for what Kobe Bryant left, his lasting legacy, man. This guy left a Mamba muse. This guy left a Mamba academy. He left a Mamba mentality. And although the actual Mamba is out, the mindset is not out. The mindset is still there. And we see this through the passing of the torch to the rightful successor. This is like the anime Fist of the North Star. You got LeBron James, that's Raul. You got Kevin Durant, that's Kenshiro. Kenshiro is the rightful successor of the Fist of the North Star. Kevin Durant is the rightful successor of the Fist of the North Star. Raul tried to take this thing by force because Raul thought that all Raul had to do was just snatch it up, because he couldn't believe that Kenshiro was the one that was going to be the successor. This is likened to LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the Kenshiro. Why don't you already know? You already did. Kevin Durant proved this. Remember, in Fist of the North Star, Kenshiro napalmed Raul. Kevin Durant napalmed LeBron James. Even Draymond Green was testifying to this, Richy Rich. He said, man, those 2 years, Kevin Durant back to back, like Drake, dog. He back to back LeBron James. He was giving it to LeBron James. He was just so dominant. He couldn't be unstoppable. And Kevin Durant was feeling some type of way because he couldn't believe that the NBA did not give him notoriety. Because this is how you get ultimate notoriety. This is how you could tell this generation of basketball is going to be the laughing stock in the annals of basketball. Anthony L., salute to you. Bookie Allen, salute to you. This is how you know they're going to be the laughing stocks of basketball annals. Because when it's all said and done, this is how greatness personification is defined. You beat the person that supposedly is the person that's supposed to be the best player in the game, and you demolish them. You ether them. You murk them. That's what Kevin Durant did when he dropped a 35 crooked little shot in the eye. That's what Kevin Durant did to LeBron James. I mean, he embarrassed LeBron James so much so, he showcased his 50, 40, 90 walking gazelle. He showcased the tutorialship. He showcased him being at the feet of the schoolmaster and the tutorship of Kobe B. Bryant, man. He studied to shew thyself approved. For a workman needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the basketball court of truth, dog. And that's what he did. He rightfully divided the basketball court of truth because he's the natural order of basketball restorer. He is what everybody says that he is. The guy who is to restore the natural order of basketball. So when we look at Kevin Durant, we have to ask ourselves this. An anomaly, an enigma, just like Kobe Bryant was. 50, 40, 90, walking gazelle. And leave it to him to set the standard and to tell you that nothing that I do, nothing that any of us do is bigger than what Kobe Bryant left, his lasting legacy. Because you know what Kevin Durant is trying to do? He's not trying to usurp LeBron James. He's not trying to usurp Kobe Bryant's lasting legacy. But he has usurped LeBron James. He has did his ass up. And Bookie Allen, LeBron James, 4 out of 10, not 4 for 6. And I told y'all, man, y'all got y'all maths wrong. And I get it. You're trying to say 4 wins, 6 losses. No, it's 4 out of 10. He's an abysmal 40%. He's a 40% NBA Finals averager and performer. The fractions in school is not about your successes versus your loss. It's your successes versus your number of attempts. Let me say it again. It's your successes versus your number of attempts. His successes is 4. And there's asterisks in each and every one of those successes. And his attempts is 10. That's 40%. That's lower than the upper echelon of the pantheon of greatness, because to be in the pantheon of greatness, you have to be in a 50 percentile or higher threshold. LeBron James does not meet that cut. Kevin Durant, a year that he ended up having an Achilles, he's still at a 67 percentile. Would have been 75%. We're talking about Kevin Durant would have had 4 NBA Finals right now if he didn't have the Achilles. And then he would have been in Brooklyn getting his 5th. So what you guys are going to see is you're going to see a real Kobe Bryant pupil. You're going to see a real guy that was molded by the Michael Jordan and the Kobe Bryant game. He's going to expand this and elevate this. And everybody was wondering, is Kevin Durant going to be the same? That's why I told you guys, Kevin Durant has that Earl Spence dichotomy to him, man. Let me say it again. Kevin Durant has that Earl Spence dichotomy because he's coming back to showcase the fuel on the fire and to show that he is the natural basketball restorer. He comes back to restore the natural order of basketball. Then we got Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving gave LeBron James his homage when he said, when I played against Kobe Bryant the very first game, I practiced, Richy Rich. He said he practiced the whole week religiously because he knew what he was going up against. But you know what ended up happening? Kobe Bryant locked his ass up. He ripped his ass up because Kobe told him, all that trash you was talking in the Olympics, though, I'm going to take it to you. See, this is what people got to understand. This is the defining moment of a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics at Kobe Bryant's game, man. That's what Kobe Bryant's game embodied. It embodied greatness personification can only be hindered. It can't be stopped. Kobe Bryant is the embodiment of that hedonist sport original terminology. You know why? Because the one that they rejected became the chief cornerstone. Let me say it again. The one that they rejected became the chief cornerstone. Kobe Bryant's the most polarizing figure the NBA's ever seen. Always ridiculed. Always spit on. When they don't put him in the GOAT conversation, i.e. the Matt Barnes of the world. See, Richy, we have a lot to unpack here. But what's your take on Kevin Durant and him rightfully being the rightful successor, the Kenshiro, the fist of the North Star, and Kyrie Irving talking about how religiously he spent the whole week prepping for Kobe Bryant because he understood greatness personification can only be hindered. It can't be stopped. That was in front of him. Talk to us about that. Speak to us about that. And tell us about how the Mamba Academy has impacted both of those guys. And where do you see the Brooklyn Nets and how do you see that impact is going to take place in the 2020 and the 2021 season?
Well, I mean, Kobe's impacted those 2 players a lot. Those guys, they really looked up to Kobe. KD, you know, he's modeled his game after Kobe and Jordan because he's seen that those 2 games are the complete games from an offensive standpoint. And you got to look at it from this point of view. Those 2 games have amounted to 11 championships. So why not observe those games? Why not try to study those games and put it in your arsenal? Because you can't go wrong. Because those games they're gonna get you to the finals and you're gonna win. Because as an offensive player, you want everything in your arsenal. So you keep a defender on a turnstile because the defender he's when you look at Kobe's game, Kobe Jordan game, they mastered their game so much from footwork, from being able to shoot mid-range shots. Kobe was a better, a long range shooter than Jordan. But these guys, they had so many moves in their arsenal that it kept defenders guessing, all the time. And you're not an obvious player, so teams can't run a certain scheme on you. They're not going to disrespect you like they disrespected LeBron earlier in his career, or now how they're disrespecting Giannis. When all they're doing is just building a wall. And Giannis, he doesn't have a jumper. He doesn't have a back to the basket game, a turnaround jump shot to be able to counter what the defense is throwing at him. So
Mhm.
Kevin Durant, he was already a nice player coming out of college, Texas, but obviously there was things he had to refine in his game. You know, he was already a guy that was able to put the ball on the floor, but his handles wasn't as tight. He always had that jumper, but you always perfect your jump shooting. Uh, and I remember when he was coming out of the NBA, he couldn't. There was issues. There was rumors about him not being able to lift 145 pounds. You remember when through the combo, with the tryouts, the combines, he had
Yep.
issues being able to put up 145 pounds. But Durant worked through all this, and I'm at some point he got with Kobe Bryant, and they were able to build a relationship, build a bond. Kobe was able to give him some great advice on what he needed to work on. Kevin Durant, he had some moments in his career where he had some he got things got caught up for him, the injuries, that leg injury where he had a metacarpal injury in his foot. He also had some other injuries as well that kind of sidetracked him, but Kevin Durant was able to come back, and he was able to get those two championships on LeBron. And you could
Mhm.
tell the difference between both players
Yep.
from that aspect. When you saw those finals,
Yep.
uh, you saw LeBron James. LeBron's able to get his stats. That's what he's geared towards trying to get. But this dude was huffing and puffing to get his stats because LeBron's game is not complete. He can't find effortless points. LeBron James really works hard for his points. This is why he always plays that facilitator role, to where he's
Mhm.
always trying to find people to make the game easier for himself. Ain't nothing wrong with that game. LeBron was able to win playing that game. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a complete game, because when you look at him from an offensive standpoint, LeBron is not that elite of a scorer. Kevin Durant proved that he could play LeBron's game that year where he won MVP when he was on a member of the OKC. He was able to find others when Westbrook was out for that duration of because he had that injury in his knee. I think he tore his meniscus, and
Mhm.
Kevin Durant came, and you saw Kevin Durant. Not only was he went on that scoring bench where he was dropping 35 plus points, 40 points, 50 points. I think he went on a streak like Kobe did that one year.
Mhm.
Kobe looked like he was unstoppable, man. But
Yep.
Kevin Durant was also dishing out assists. He was getting rebounds. He was stuffing the stat sheet. He was actually playing LeBron's game. This is what I'm saying. LeBron's game is kind of overrated when you think about it, because you got Russell Westbrook out here getting triple doubles like no other. But the difference between Russell Westbrook and LeBron is Russell Westbrook don't play with two All Stars. He's not playing with a team that he's not playing with a super team. So he could get those stats, but he's not really going to win because he's playing with a team that he doesn't have two guys that's also doing the heavyweight lifting like him. Kevin Durant, when he was on OKC, Russell Westbrook, he is a hard-headed player though. He had to deal with a Westbrook man that thought that he was better than Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant kind of had some issues with that team. That team wasn't able to uh, they were able to get to a finals. They were able to get to a couple Western Conference finals, but they weren't able to achieve what what they were supposed to by winning a championship. Those two players, that I guess they didn't have the right kind of chemistry, because
Mhm.
one player thought he was better than the guy that actually was the best player on the team. So it ended up not working out. But Kevin Durant found the right fit with Golden State Warriors, and he was able to win a title. You know what I'm saying? As the main guy, he wasn't a guy that was there along for the ride. He showed his worth. He showed that he was the best player in the game. And he was teamed up with LeBron James. when he was matched up with LeBron James, he was finally able to show that he was the better player between them two because he had the more complete game. You know what I'm saying? And when LeBron was faced up against him, you saw who was able to score easier, who had to work for their baskets much harder. It wasn't Kevin Durant. Man. Everything came easy to that man. And
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James, people saying, "Oh, Durant had to eat the best cast out there." No, the casts were even. LeBron had Kyrie Irving, he had Kevin Love. In fact, in Kevin Love's argument, Kevin Love's a better offensive player than Draymond Green, and he's able to rebound the ball better than Draymond Green. Draymond's a better defender, a better hustler, but Kevin Love can score the ball better than Draymond, and he can rebound the ball better. And J.R. Smith, you know, it wasn't like Klay Thompson was averaging crazy amount of points because when you look at J.R. Smith, when you go ahead and you look at the breakdown between what Kyrie and Stephen Curry was averaging in that series, Kyrie Irving was averaging more points than Stephen Curry. Uh, Kevin Love, Kevin Love. If you want to put the guys, what stars they had, what all stars they had, Kevin Love's points matched up with Klay Thompson's points. J.R. Smith scored more points than Draymond Green. LeBron got more output out of his supporting cast than Kevin Durant did with the Warriors. So it came down to who was better between Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Who came down to hitting clutch baskets, to being able to play better, having their teammates play better with them being the focal point. LeBron James, he tried to do too much, and that right there kind of hurt his team in those finals. He was trying to outscore the Warriors when that team really needed to try to look at trying to stop the Warriors, where their main emphasis should have been trying to play tough-nosed defense. But, Durant, you can't really guard him. You know what I'm saying? He's an unguardable player. You're not going to outscore a player like that. You're not going to go toe-to-toe offensively with a player like Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, this thing looks effortless to him. And even though the game looks effortless to Kevin Durant, he still respects Kobe and Jordan to that degree. Because I remember during the week, he came out and said that who's the better scorer between you and Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? He respected those guys. He's like, I follow those guys. I've learned from those guys, and I can't say my game is effortless because as those guys, because those I took away from those guys, and those guys, what they've done, their body of work speaks for itself. I had to observe those guys. I had to take away from those guys. Yeah, I got the height, I got the length, I got the shooting ability, but I had to learn from those guys, watching those guys, constantly seeking advice from those guys. And my game is where it's at now, but I still can't say I compare to those guys. So there's an ultimate respect there. There's an ultimate, looking at the OGs of the game, seeing Michael Jordan with those 6 championships, seeing Kobe Bryant with those 5 titles, seeing the rest of their body of work, Durant knowing that he hasn't gotten to their plateau yet. Although, he is a gifted scorer and he can make it look as effortless as those guys can because of his not only because of his length. There's a lot of tall guys that play in the NBA, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't shoot like Kevin Durant. They can't put the ball on the floor like Kevin Durant. They can't. The Durant has a back to the basket game. They don't have Durant's skill set. You got to work on those things. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You just can't come in the NBA with those type of genetic gifts and not work on your craft. You have to work on your craft, or you're just going to be a normal average player in the NBA. Durant is the type of player that works on his craft and he pays attention to. He's a student of the game. He pays attention to the people before him, and he's taking from it, and it's benefited him, just like
Right.
it benefited Kobe, because Kobe said he's taking moves from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're a serious player that's serious about leaving a mark on the game, you got to study everybody. You got to.
Right.
Kobe mentioned that he taken from Dirk. He even
Mm-hmm.
taken from Duncan. He's taken from everybody. Kobe was Kakashi. and Naruto, and Kakashi with that shotting gun, where he's out here stealing everybody's moves. That's how you
Copy
gotta be,
ninja.
man. You can't play
Mm-hmm.
around. That's how the NBA is. If you're really trying to be a serious
Mm-hmm.
basketball player, how Kobe Bryant was, you looking at all opposition. You're seeing
Yep.
what moves they're doing and how you can put it in your game to where you can be a lethal guy on the floor. You give yourself the
Yep.
best. You give your team the best chance to win because you can
Yep.
truly be that dominant force because
Yep.
you're a deck of you're like a house of cards or whatever. You're truly a house of cards. You can bring any type of game to the arena. That's how Kobe was.
Yep.
So it's obvious why
Kakashi
Kevin
and
Durant.
Kakashi was revered because every time a foe came up against Kakashi, what they would say, "This is Kakashi Hatake of the Sharingan, the copy
Yeah,
ninja." He was
the
revered.
copy ninja.
He was in the bingo book.
Exactly. Ninjas were scared of Kakashi because they knew he had over 1,000 jitsus that he took from ninjas that he faced or ninjas that he came across, and he was able to take copy their abilities. Man,
Yep.
this is how Kobe was. Uh, but Kyrie, from a sense, Kyrie was able. He was someone that was seeking Kobe out by trying to, get his attention in those 2014 Olympic trials when they had those young bucks coming to train with the veterans that are already on the team. Kyrie was thirsty for Kobe's attention because you saw he was making bets with Kobe. He was trying to do Kobe up in the practices, but Kobe wasn't having it, man. Kobe was telling this dude, "Who is this kid? Who is this guy?" Kyrie wanted. There was a dude. He just wanted to be on. He just wanted to be someone that was Kobe took
Mhm.
on his attention. He wanted Kobe's attention, and Kobe saw that from Kyrie, and he was like, okay, this kid right here, Kyrie, he's special. He's another player that he's special because of the way he can dribble. What he can
Yep.
do out on the floor. The handles, his handling ability, and
Yep.
he has an offensive game as well. He looks
Yep.
like he can score effortlessly from the point guard position because Kyrie's ambidextrous. He can go at you any way,
Yep.
and he could finish strong.
Yep.
And he has that jump shooting ability as well. And Kobe took a liking to him because he saw how Kyrie was seeking out after him. Kyrie wanted his knowledge. Kyrie wanted to pick Kobe's brain every time he was around him. And he's one of the players that Kobe took under his wing because he saw how much Kyrie wanted to, wanted his attention. And Kobe, had to give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how it is when it's a master and it's a student, and
Yep.
you got a student. A master could continue rejecting the student until a
Mhm.
point to where the master keeps seeing the student is like, okay, this guy's relentless. And that's how Kobe and Kyrie's relationship was. Kobe had to embarrass him a few times on the court. That year where Kobe Bryant, uh, I believe it was Kobe's final season of his prime, but the year where Kobe tore his Achilles and he had to check Kyrie Irving, and
Yep.
and Kobe locked him down. Kyrie was going hard at Kobe, but Kobe had to lock him up. You know what I'm saying? And having to guard Kyrie Irving, man, it's not easy when it's just you and him on the island because that boy got handles. He knows how to shift his dribbles around, and he knows how to shake. He knows how to get away from you. With Kobe, he's an elite defender to where he was able to lock up Kyrie Irving in those games, block him up a few times, make him waste the time of possession because he made it a personal thing between him and Kobe. But he really at that point he really started listening to what Kobe was telling him, looking at the move that when Kyrie Irving was wanted to leave LeBron James and the Cavaliers, that he admitted that he talked with Kobe about that whole situation.
Mhm.
Especially when Kyrie Irving was the guy who stepped up in the finals. LeBron had the stats, but Kyrie Irving stepped up in the finals. He was the unguardable guy. He was the guy that truly went off in those last three games to where he was able to help the Cavs get the edge over the Warriors because the Warriors, it didn't matter who the Warriors were throwing at him, whether it was Curry, Clay, or Draymond, they had no answer for this guy. Or even Iguodala. There was time Iguodala got on Kyrie Irving. He was getting buckets put on him because Kyrie, man, he went into a zone unconsciously to where he was just scoring on everybody at will, man. And that gave LeBron James that security blanket that he needed to finally be able to beat the Warriors because he truly had that dominant player on the floor with him. And Kyrie was able to take the game deciding shot and he hit it over Curry and they won the series. And Kyrie kind of felt slighted because he didn't get the credit that he wanted. And he went to go talk with Kobe about that. Kobe told him about his experience with him and Shaq,
Yep.
where, as a number two, Kobe did a lot of great things in that number two role, but, Shaq was getting the credit. Eventually, at some point, if he still had this perspective of between him and LeBron and the Cavs, and he wanted more, he was going to have to leave that situation. That's what Kobe told him, because it seemed like Kyrie wanted more. That's what he wanted. He wanted more, and Kyrie looks like that player that Kobe was. Kobe was when Kobe felt like, okay, you got Shaq here, and Shaq, he's not getting in shape. He was perfectly fine in his number two role, but Kobe wasn't content with Shaq at the time because Shaq, he kept coming in to camp out of shape, and Shaq was he was a dominant force. Let's not lie to ourselves. But Shaq could have worked more on his game. You felt like Shaq was one of those centers, man, those great centers that he left he left he left the glass half full because he could have did a lot more to work on his game, and the Lakers possibly would have won more championships if Shaq would have cleaned up his free throws, and he would have been more in shape. The Lakers
Yep.
probably would have won more titles because you felt that Kobe was more like serious about the game than Shaq at the time. Shaq was lazy. On Kyrie, he was developing Kobe's mindset about a guy that wanted more, to show that he has more to give. He can do more on the court. You know what I'm saying? Just like Kobe did. Kobe felt that he wanted to prove more to the naysayers, to the doubters, to the analysts, the reporters that were saying, okay, you're number two, you're a Robin. You're a guy. Okay, you need Shaq uh to win. You know what I'm saying? And Kyrie felt slighted some type of way, so he wanted to leave that whole situation with the Cavaliers. And they said it was going to be his team. He was going to be the guy, but LeBron came in that whole situation, and LeBron made it his team again. And LeBron, when they won the title, obviously LeBron gets the credit. But Kyrie did heavy lifting in that series. That's how it is with a lot of LeBron teams. Uh, he could have a guy do. You look at these past finals with Anthony Davis. Anthony
Yep.
Davis did a lot of heavyweight lifting, and
Yep.
LeBron gets all the credit, man. And
Yep.
and they anointing him, they adoring him, even though AD did all this heavyweight lifting. LeBron getting his credit. That's how Kyrie felt. He felt slighted, so he wanted to leave that situation. So it's kind of like Kobe Bryant, where uh that situation where they uh I'm trying to remember where Jerry Buss had to make a decision when Shaq's contract was up and he had to choose between Shaq or Kobe. They just came off losing to the Detroit Pistons. Uh and it was time to make a decision because Shaq's contract was up. Who are you gonna go with? You gonna stay with
Mhm.
Shaq, or you gonna go with the rising star? And they chose
Yep.
Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
He decided to see, okay, he probably saw, okay, Kobe's at a level where if we're able to surround him with the right cast, Kobe can get us back to the finals.
Yep.
But we have to go through these losing years eventually to get to where we need to be. But the Cavs weren't looking at it that way. They wanted to hold on to LeBron, even though LeBron did Dan Gilbert dirty that first time. He still wanted to hold on to LeBron and see where it was going to end. So Kyrie had to leave that situation, knowing that LeBron eventually wasn't going to stay around, and knowing that LeBron was going to get the credit. even if they were going to continue to be a contending team, or if they were going to have another chance at winning ever again. But it wasn't going to be possible because KD was still, KD was doing his thing. But from that aspect, those two guys, they have an aspect to where, you know, Kyrie Irving is more outspoken. You know, he looks like
Mhm.
the more outspoken guy. Kevin Durant is the more laid back guy, but you can see it from their Mamba mentalities that, KD leaves it out on the floor. Kyrie leaves out on the floor, but he's like more of an outspoken guy to
Yep.
where, he's not going to take what people say. He's not gonna like just have people say anything about him. You know, he's gonna say something about it. Or if he feels that he's being slighted, he's gonna say something about it. It's just like how Kobe was. Kyrie's more outspoken than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant leaves it out on the floor, but Kevin Durant is not a player that's going to take disrespect. We've seen it from him with the media, and many times where he's gone back and forth with the media. But Kevin Durant is more of a laid back guy. He just wants to prove things on the floor and settle it there. You know what I'm saying? It's only when people get out of line that's when Kevin Durant, has comes out and says something. But their games are lethal, man. And it shows you how lethal their games are. In terms of how they're doing this season, uh, these guys have the makeup of being a very special team. But
Hmm.
it's going to take time because both those guys they sat out. They sat out mostly all of last year. Kevin Durant didn't play last season, and it's still a work in progress. We got to see how he manages himself throughout this season. It seemed like the Nets are going to have him sit out back-to-back games because of they want to manage that Achilles hip. They don't want him to play like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's still early. They want to see how he plays through that. And Kyrie Irving, there's going to be sometimes they uh they have him sit on back-to-backs because he did have a shoulder surgery last season. And they want to manage that right. It's the smart thing to do. You don't want to have these guys play too hard. And Spencer Dinwiddie, he tore his ACL, so he's going to be out for the end of the year. I feel that they're possibly going to have to make a move to replace a guy like that because that's a guy that scores 20 points a game. And he had chemistry with some of the guys on the team. He's a piece. Uh, he's an important piece to what they do on that basketball team. So they're going to have to replace him. You know, but for right now, they've had a few challenging games to where they're still trying to find their identity. Obviously, people are going to overreact. We've seen people in the chat would make a few comments about them losing to Atlanta or Charlotte. That's a part of the process, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of the process, and to where a team's supposed to get to where they're supposed to get to. This
Hmm.
team has huge aspirations. They're with Kevin Durant and Kyrie coming back. They're already being put in front of everybody to come out the East and get to the
Right.
finals. So
Facts.
that's what it is. These guys know that. They know that they got that pressure on their backs. But it's a process. You can't rush this process. You know what I'm saying? Because they sat out last year. They sat out a lot of time last year, and they got to get acclimated to these guys that they're playing with now. But I believe these guys are going to be as lethal as they are. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a team. They have bigs that can rebound, that can shot block, and these guys can cause problems in the interior. They have a guy in Karis LeVert that can score. He's a guy that can come off the bench and be a microwave for them. They have guys that can hit the 3-point shots. Defense is gonna need some fine tuning. Obviously, in these past few games, they got things they got to work on. They got to work on their defense, but
It's
they're
too
gonna
early.
get there. Yeah, it's too early. They're gonna get there at that point as a team. You know what I'm saying? But and they still have to work on their chemistry offensively because right now it's more so of Kyrie and KD and Kyrie taking turns with the basketball. So it's going to get to a point where there's going to be more ball movement, less obvious play
Let me
between
just
them.
say something. Let me say something real quick. That's what basketball is. See, people always saying ball movement, this and that. Don't even fall for that nonsense, Richy Rich. That's what it is. Regular season, Playoffs, NBA finals, you name it. It's always going to be your stars that's going to get the most of the shares, man. The ball movement is going to happen as the games go on. But I've heard people say that all the time, and I'm even hearing you saying that now, and it's cringy. It's always basketball like that. Basketball's always been like that. Your stars are always going to get their touches. So what Kyrie and Kevin Durant is doing is they're figuring out how to play with one another as stars. And everybody else, the sum of all parts, are going to do what they got to do. But I agree with what you're saying in terms of ball movement. That has to happen. But this is early, man. I mean, it's early. And I know Richie Rich has that standard where he wants to see things as fast as he possibly can see it. And trust me, I get it. I know Richie Rich for 30 plus years, so I understand his mindset with that. It makes sense. But they have a litany of games that they're going to play for a reason. And these things happen in stages. So let them play basketball. Kevin Durant's missed 300 some plus games. Kyrie Irving is coming back. They got to figure some shit out. They got to get their chemistry together. So I'm hearing what Richie Rich is saying, but you want your stars to do what they're doing right now as much as possible because the stars are the ones that lead the ship in any team. You want your stars getting those touches. You want them getting rhythm. You want them getting volume. You want them getting all of those things. And I heard Richie Rich said, I just had to make that quick interjection. That's natural for stars to do that. Jordan and Pippen, the guys that you like, Richie Rich, more than anybody, that's what they did. They're the ones that control the narration of the team. In order for the sum of all parts to do what they got to do, the stars have to do what they have to do. This is simple X's and O's in basketball. So when you see Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, it's the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving show. You want it to be that because that's how the sum of all parts is going to be defined. Now the issue is Spencer Dinwiddie went down. He is what we'll call an elite sum of all parts player. He went down. It is what it is. But with or without him, the train must continue to go. But go ahead, continue, finish saying what you were saying on that. I just wanted to say that real quick about star players.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. You know, you didn't let me finish though. That's what I was saying. I was gonna get to it. It's still early, and they still have to figure things out amongst themselves and with their teammates. You know, and it's gonna take some time. The good thing is it's a 72 game season, so they got a lot of games ahead of them to figure this thing out. You know, and I believe once that season is over, man, they're gonna be very lethal. You know, and teams are going to want to avoid playing them because they're going to figure this out with themselves and their teammates. They're going to get their timing down. The ball movement is going to flow a whole lot better. Because we're in 7, 8 games so far? No, 6, 7 games so far. It's very early. You know, a lot of people are going to overreact. Like what RCDW, that this guy is very active right now. But you got to listen.
And it's just LeBron
talk. Yeah, he's a LeBron talk. You gotta let things play out. You know, especially when it's early like this. You can't just make assumptions because you could be the one you could be the one that look like a fool at the end of the day. So let's just let this thing play out. You know, Kevin Durant, he's looking good out there, especially with that injury that he sustained 2 seasons ago. These boys are gonna figure it out, man. Really, when you look at the Eastern Conference, it's wide open right now. Because the Heat, they look like if we're like making
now you're going into another hot pocket topic. So we're gonna jump into that.
All right.
But you said what you had to say in terms of Kevin Durant. You said what you had to say in terms of Kyrie Irving. But let me say this, and then we can segue into something like that down the road. The thing that people got to understand when we think of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, one thing that I don't agree with Richie Rich, Dallas, you're not mopping nobody. As a matter of fact, Anthony L's giving you the business. That's why I'm not even paying attention. But Anthony L and Lewis is in the comment section. I don't pay attention because they mollywopping you. So I don't know if you think you're doing something. You're really not doing nothing. I dealt with you for a little bit, and now I'm talking. So we got heavyweight lifters in the chat, man. Lewis is handling you. Anthony L's handling you. You need to deal with them. So don't worry about me. Worry about them. But anyways, back on to what I was saying. This is an early aspect. This is an early evolution into the series. It's early in the regular season. And you have a whole bunch of people that are prisoners of the moment, Richy Rich. They get into this nonsense that it's over because the Brooklyn Nets lost Spencer Dinwiddie. It's over because of this. What they're showcasing is their LeBron tardism. They're showcasing that they are just LeBron fans. They are secret LeBron fans. LeBron has two types of fans. He has open fans and he has secret fans. You could tell them because the good book tells them you bear them, you will know them by the fruit that they bear. If your fruit of bearing is always hating on Kevin Durant and it's always supporting LeBron James, you are a LeBron tard. You may not be open about it, you secret about it, but that's the fruit that you keep bearing. You always got something negative to say about Kevin Durant. You always got something positive to say about LeBron James. You will know them by the fruit that they bear. You just got to watch their fruit. And if their fruit is rotten, you tell them their fruit is fucking rotten. And if their fruit makes sense, you tell them that their fruit makes sense. But see, what people got to understand in this most cold-hearted, unadulterated, cutthroat, true-teller fashion is as simple as this, man. The reason why Brooklyn's being talked about in such a polarizing aspect, oh, Spencer Dinwiddie went down. Oh, can Brooklyn win? Can Brooklyn do this? Is because they understand that Kevin Durant is Mr. Anti-LeBron. He's the 50, 40, 90 walking gazelle, and he mollywopped LeBron James. This is still in LeBron Tard's heads, whether they want to accept it or not. That's why they always got something adverse to say about Kevin Durant, because they know that LeBron James got mollywopped by this dude. You have to understand what Kevin Durant brings to the table. He's an anomaly. He's an enigma. And people were sitting here wondering if he was going to be the same. He's even better now than he was before the Achilles, if people are being honest with themselves. He's demolishing zone defenses even better. Because guess what? He has Steve Nash there that can help him ingratiate that system, because people forget Steve Nash was part of the Golden State Warriors. So he's still bringing in some of the sprinkling of that system into what they're bringing in. Yes, Dallas, he's mollywopping. Oh, look at the Boston Celtics game. Kevin Durant's just free flowing through zone defenses, man, like nobody's business. The Brooklyn Nets are finding themselves. Every team in basketball finding themselves. Don't you guys notice that I'm not critical of the Lakers, but y'all critical of the Brooklyn Nets? Keep that same energy, though. Let me say it again. Keep that same energy. Why are you guys critical of the Brooklyn Nets, but I'm not critical of the Los Angeles? Because I know it's early. Early don't impress Henos' sport, because I have standards over here, man. I have the Moses level of standards when it comes to basketball. And I come with that Apostle Paul spiritual boldness to eat the murk and napalm you fool. Because the standard tells me that early on you can't be razzed up by this. You got to understand that there's levels to this stuff. There's gears. Do you want to know when the regular season starts making sense? I'm going to teach you guys something. The regular season starts making sense after the All-Star break. This is what basketball standard used to be about. You remember this, Richy Rich? Teams used to start getting serious when? After the All-Star break. You want to know why they got serious after the All-Star break? Because everybody was trying to get positioning for the playoffs. When did we change that fucking standard? When did that standard change in basketball? Now you got a whole bunch of Rudy Poole and Plum Brains, classic Dolce and troglodytes, ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric, telling you that everybody's in trouble from day one. There was never no such thing in basketball. Everybody got to get back in basketball shape. Everybody got to work their ass out 48 minutes on a basketball court. Because it don't matter how much training camp you do, there's actual in-game shape. You see, there's levels to this stuff, man. There's training camp shape, and then there's in-game shape. And it takes all of these guys about 40 plus games to get it. That's why you see these guys start getting in basketball form after the All-Star break. Because that's when they start really ramping it up, because they got to get ready for where? The real NBA season. And what's the real NBA season, Richy Rich? The NBA playoffs. And you know why it's the real NBA season? Because it's where legends are made. This is basketball at its truest and its most properest levels. Basketball judged at its highest levels is after the All-Star break and then beyond. And then once you get into the NBA playoffs, the game gets slowed down to a crawl, gets slowed down to a snail. And then now this is where we start really judging these heavyweight liftings of teams. and knowing where their truest and most properest levels is at. Kevin Durant is the best player in basketball. He's been the best player in basketball since he napalmed LeBron James in the NBA Finals. Until LeBron James can beat Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals, Kevin Durant owns him. So therefore, Kevin Durant is the best player because he owned LeBron James back-to-back in the NBA Finals. And I could argue that shit down with anybody. The only reason why Kevin Durant is supposedly not given the title is because he got injured. But he dominated LeBron James. He has a 67 percentile, 2 out of 3 overall against LeBron James, 9 out of 13 overall, 70 percentile against LeBron. That means he's the best because he did this where in the NBA playoffs where legends are made. He did this in the NBA Finals where NBA pantheon of greatness is denoted and defined and therefore exemplified. This is how you judge basketball at its highest levels. Anybody that's telling you basketball any other way outside of this, they're not telling you basketball. Basketball is very simple to break down. You don't need all of this nuances, X's and O's. You don't need all this shit. Basketball is very simple. I'm going to make it very simple for you guys. You judge basketball in the NBA playoffs and you judge in the NBA finals. If you judging basketball any other way outside of that, you ain't judging basketball. Because regular season ain't basketball. Regular season is just position basketball. Whew. What I said was so deep and profound. Let me let that marinate in the corpus callosum and in the cerebellum. Hear me? Hear me? Fucking well. Regular season is positioning basketball. That's what it is. It's to position your ass for the real NBA season, the NBA playoffs, and the NBA finals. So I'm going to reenact an old school He Knows the Sport terminology. So hear me and hear me fucking well. That's what it is. That's basketball simplistically at its highest levels. That's a simple way of looking at it. Now, there's a more complex way, and that's judging these teams in playoff games, going in and out and determining how they play, et cetera, from one playoff game to the next. Now, that's when you get more complex. But from a simplistic aspect, it's everything you do after the All-Star break and then going into the NBA playoffs and then the NBA finals. If you're judging basketball outside of that, you ain't judging basketball. You're not even talking basketball. You're talking Fire Marshal Bill nonsense. And what do we tell you about Fire Marshal Bills of the world? They create a lot of smoke, but they ain't got no fire extinguisher to put out the fucking flames. Now let's get on to the next topic. Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes had the audacity and the unmitigated going on All the Smoke podcast. And you know what he said, Richy Rich? This is why I told you we got some unique topics. We're going to talk Kobe all fucking day. And we're going to make Kobe an appealing topic all day because he deserves that. He said that Kobe Bryant should not be in the GOAT conversation. He should only be talked about as top 10. Are you fucking kidding me? So we get it now, Matt Barnes. You have unresolved issues. It's because you tried to throw the basketball at Kobe Bryant's face and he didn't flinch? Is that what it is? Because Kobe Bryant made you the butt of all jokes? Do you realize the only reason why we know your name, you are literally a speed bump, Matt Barnes. We know your name because of what you did in that ball and the flinching of Kobe Bryant and the person that you did it to. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't fucking know who you are. Do you realize that, Matt Barnes? Do you realize that your NBA career is denoted because of that? That's how much of a greatness personification Kobe Bryant is. Did you know that Matt Barnes said this shit, Richy Rich? Came out of his rabbit ass mouth. That when we talk about the NBA GOAT conversation, Kobe Bryant shouldn't be in it. He should only be at best top 10. What do you have to say about that?
I'm actually surprised. I didn't know he said it. Maybe it happened throughout the week, but I was busy, because this was a holiday week. I didn't really catch wind of that. Last week. I didn't catch wind of that. I didn't catch wind of it, man. But that's disrespectful from Matt Barnes, especially how he was talking about Kobe in such a great light. It's I still can't put my finger on this. Why Matt Barnes would have this stance on where Kobe's at, in the all-time greatest list or the GOAT list. Kobe's a GOAT, man. The stuff that he's done in the game, Kobe's a GOAT. And that's where it ends. Matt Barnes of all people shouldn't be talking about who's this, who's that, because you know, Kobe's done this dude up so many times, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Kobe's knocked his team out of the postseason. He beat that team in the finals, the Orlando Magic. He's Matt Barnes. I remember when Matt Barnes went to go play with Kobe when he became a member of the Lakers, and he was explaining that story about his experience when he would go out with Kobe and stuff like that. It's kind of puzzling, man, to hear Matt Barnes of all people say that Kobe's not a GOAT. So who would he? Did he include who was in his GOAT
Come on, man.
list?
You already know. He said Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Well, he got one of them right, but LeBron James, he failed miserably with that pick right there because LeBron is a shortcut taker. I don't understand why people continue to put LeBron James on their GOAT list. LeBron took shortcuts. Kobe never took a shortcut. Kobe won with what he had, man. You know what I'm saying? That means more to the game when you can show that you can win with what you got. You know what I'm saying? And you could go through struggles. People could think you won't win, and you still win. You still prove the doubters wrong. You still shut up the haters, the naysayers, the doubters out there. LeBron James, he always goes to a better situation, man. What does that say about LeBron? Y'all keep saying this man's the GOAT, but we never seen this man struggle. You know what I'm saying? His situation always gets better, or he always putting himself in a better situation to seek out success. I guess if you look at it, you can look at it and say that okay, LeBron's taking advantage of his own destiny. But when we look at the game, man, the game is about competing, man. It's not about trying to scheme the game or you don't look at the game at stuff like technical things like trying to get over on someone or you working a job. You know what I'm saying? Some people even come to me. Oh, so you're looking at it as a job. You wouldn't try to. You're working for a company, and you're if you know you can go to a better company, you wouldn't do that. That that's a job, man. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
this is the game of basketball, man. You don't look
Great
at it
point.
like that. It's a
Great point.
sport.
Yep.
You put the best play against the best. Now, if you some role player, if you some average Joe, yeah, you're gonna try to better your situation. But if they calling you the best in the game, man, it's a perception thing. Basketball
Exactly.
is a perception thing. If you're the best in the game, they're calling you the best in the game. You don't try to take shortcuts. You don't take a route to improve your situation to win, man. You can't call your best if you can't call yourself the best if you do that. LeBron James has done this countless and countless of times. He has hurt the game. I saw comments about Anthony L mentioned why the game is watered down. The game is watered down because the guy they anointed as the best player in the game took a shortcut. And these young guys are following his path. And it's hurting the game more and more and more, man. Kobe Bryant has never hurt the game. When has Kobe Bryant ever hurt the game? Kobe Bryant has, in fact, lifted the game of basketball because he kept on the spirit of competition that Jordan left on the floor, man. People were tuning in because Kobe was so much of a competitor. LeBron is not a competitor, man. He runs away from competition. He always
Mm-hmm.
looking to find a better situation, to go team up with a superstar to help improve his chances to win. Matt Barnes,
Mm-hmm.
man, he got a bunch of screws loose in his head if he think LeBron is on the GOAT list. People looking at LeBron's accolades. Oh, he's got four finals MVPs, four MVPs of the league. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. LeBron made sure he got these accolades so he could play with people's minds because they're looking at it from, oh man, he got the accolades, so we
I
got
think
to
he
put him
always.
in that.
I think Matt Barnes always thought of Kobe that way. I really do.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, he probably could. Yeah.
he waited until after Kobe Bryant's death. He had Kobe on the show, and he was kissing
Yeah, I
Kobe Bryant,
remember that. I saw that. I saw that
kissing
show.
Kobe Bryant's ass, and then at the end, now Kobe Bryant is gone because he knew if Kobe Bryant was around, Kobe. Kobe's always gonna get his get back. Kobe would have said some shit,
Yeah, you would
but
have
Kobe's
said
not
something.
around, so Kobe ain't around. So now he's stunned. I just couldn't believe that he had those pent up unresolved issues, especially when Kobe saved his ass. Didn't he play with the Lakers and won some fucking championships those years with the Lakers? I mean, Kobe saved this motherfucker. The nerve, the unmitigated gall, the audacity of this motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying. They all and you see it, the media, they always give LeBron this pass. Like he's lost so many finals. Okay, LeBron, man, but especially the finals against the Warriors in 2015 when he lost. They were saying LeBron still he's the MVP. They were trying to make a case for this guy being the MVP as a loser and shooting 38% from the field goal. Andre Iguodala was locking this dude up. Oh, LeBron is still the Finals MVP because he's playing without Kyrie and Kevin Love. But he was up 2-1 in the series going back to Cleveland. He had a chance to really put heat on that Golden State Warriors team if he would have won that game 4 game. I think if the Cavaliers would have won game 4, I think the Golden State Warriors would have wilted under the pressure because they were a wet behind the ears team. If LeBron would have won those finals, then he would have been able to make a argument. Okay, he might be one of the GOATs because he won in a situation where he was the underdog, and he beat this team knowing that he lost 2 of his star players. He
but
was
back
able
to
to
the
overcome
context
it.
of Matt Barnes and
Yeah,
Steve
but
Jackson. The thing with those two guys is they are LeBron tards, man. They're LeBron tards because Steven Jackson not defending, not checking, ethering and murking Matt Barnes when he said it. These guys, that's why I tell people there's open LeBron tards and there's secret LeBron tards. And I've heard Steven Jackson say some shit about LeBron that makes me cringe. It makes me fucking cringe. These guys are LeBron tards. You can't have a podcast saying all the smoke when you're giving us all the poop. Let me say it again. You can't say you have a podcast saying all the smoke when you're giving us all the poop. And that's what they're giving us, poop job, not smoke. Go ahead.
They're not keeping it real, just like you said. It's called all the smoke. They ask all of the guests that come on the show to give the real. But yeah, he's not keeping it real in this situation. Even that's the standard of their show. When they like guys, that's the whole thing about their show. They like guys when guys go on their show, they could act like themselves. Like if they, as opposed to going on ESPN or Fox Sports and they got to talk. These guys they put these guys in the atmosphere to where these guys can even cuss. And act like they really act when they're around their friends and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And, speak the real. Not don't come on here and speak like in a cookie cutter manner, a good boy manner, to where like you gotta talk like you're talking on one of these big networks, and you gotta talk right. You know what I'm saying? You go on those shows, all the smoke, to talk the way you want to talk. That's the kind of atmosphere they make it. And these guys are Matt Barnes ain't being real with himself because he's putting LeBron James in the same on the GOAT list, and he's leaving Kobe Bryant off that GOAT list. It doesn't add up, man. We got to question Matt Barnes about that.
Yep.
What's going on? Do you still have resentment towards Kobe Bryant? When you had to face him, when you had to guard him, on your Orlando Magic days or your Golden State Warrior days, this guy, it doesn't make any sense. What was Steven Jackson's reaction to that?
He didn't say shit. I just told you.
He didn't say nothing.
He accepted it. Because lately, Steven Jackson has been talking about how great LeBron James is, winning a Mickey Mouse title, a least path of resistance title, a fraudulent fluky on the spot NBA title, an infinite Tsukuyomi, a Ready Player One, virtual reality fucking title, a NBA pickup game. These guys have been talking about this. This is why I tell you, there's open and there's secret LeBron tarts. I don't give a fuck because you stay in LA. I would denounce me staying in LA because LeBron is there. Give a fuck. That's just me. LeBron came in and turned purple and gold to shit. This is how bad purple and gold has gotten. Because purple and gold is now identified as the participation award era. Purple and gold used to have standards, man. Purple and gold used to be about standards, basketball excellence. I can't believe we're saying this about Lakers Nation. There's no standards with Lakers Nation, man. It's bullshit and it's fuck shit. To see Jenny Buss, to see what's Kobe Bryant's trainer's name again? I mean his agent. The one that's the fucking GM.
Rob Pelinka.
Rob Pelinka. To see all these motherfuckers celebrating a Mickey Mouse title. This is why I tell you guys, this generation, he knows sort of predicted this way back in 2019. This generation is going to be the laughing stock of generations to come. They're going to be like, what the fuck was wrong with this generation when it comes to basketball? They just didn't get it. They was missing a few screws in their damn heads. But they're what we call brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads, man. This is why they don't get it. And you never going to get the message when you think that way. Matt Barnes saying that, and he said it at a time. See, Matt Barnes is slick. That's why you didn't know he said it. He said it during the holiday time. He said it a week ago. When I saw that shot, like, oh, he think he's slick. I'm going to talk about it. Ain't nobody talking about it? I'm going to fucking talk about it. You ain't slick, motherfucker. Because that's unresolved and pent-up issues he had. Because you guys remember, if you go back and look at that game with Matt Barnes and the way that he threw that ball at Kobe Bryant, he was about to flinch, people forget they were supposed to go to blows in that fight. That game was supposed to be about fighting. And Kobe Bryant just treated him like, if you guys watch my video that I did about me, and I'm the GOAT, I'm Ghost of Power. And I just don't get flinched. That was the whole message. I could be sitting on my throne and I don't get flinched. That's the idea of it. Go watch that video. You want to know he knows his sport through and through? He knows sport sitting on his throne. He don't get flinched. And if you try to come in on he knows his sport territory, your hand or your wrist is gonna get broken. And I'm still not gonna get up. That's the comparison of Kobe Bryant with Matt Barnes. Kobe didn't flinch. And Matt Barnes was sitting here and now running his rabbit ass mouth saying what he's saying about Kobe. It's so ironic and it's so interesting that you saying this, and Kobe Bryant's not here to defend himself. A lot of motherfuckers are getting slide to the mouth and they're saying things with Kobe Bryant not there to defend himself. Isn't that interesting? But people are not thinking about this stuff. Yeah, Anthony L. He wasn't on weed, man. I'm not even gonna say this is stuff that was unresolved. It was pent up issue. I done told you guys this, man. Hino's sport is a Sun Tzu, aka Art of War. 7 steps out of the game, 48 laws of power, man. I see these things a mile away, man. I told you guys there was ravening wolves, i.e., fake as fuck LeBron criticizers, but they're really intermingling and masking themselves in sheep's clothing as secret LeBron tards. That's what Matt Barnes was, a secret LeBron tard. That's what Steven Jackson is, a secret LeBron tard. Because for you to say that, that means it was something that you didn't think just yesterday. I was born at night. I wasn't born last night. That was not something you said. That wasn't something you was thinking just at that whim of the moment. You was always thinking that, and you was waiting for the most opportune, or let's contextualize it. You was waiting for the most opportune time to say it. And what opportune time more was this than this? So I'm done with that. Let's get on to the next topic, man. Kobe Bryant, man. Kobe Bryant, I don't know if you knew this, Richy Rich. Kobe Bryant was going to sever ties with Nike. Kobe Bryant was going to create. This is when you know you're a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics. He was going to create something that even Michael Jeffrey Jordan wasn't thinking of creating. He was going to create the first player model shoe company that was going to be driven by players, not by Nike, not by these types of corporations, by players. They were going to have all of the say with the creativity. They were going to have all of the say with who they want to be on their team. They were going to have all the say with how the shoe was going to get designed. And you know what's so interesting about it? The Mamba Shoe Company wasn't just going to be about basketball. It was actually going to embody all sports genres. Nah, Anthony L., we ain't blaming it on weed, man. I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't fall for that. You better than that, Anthony L. You're a truth teller. You born on the same day as me. So you already know. We don't fall for nothing. That wasn't no damn weed. He always felt that. It's now ironic that Kobe Bryant was not here, that he hadn't ended up saying it. That's what it is, bro. He was just waiting at the opportune time to say it. It ain't weed. It's just the truth is coming out of him. People forget hallucinogens make the truth come out of you. Whether it's weed, drinking, it just make whatever you was thinking come out. You know, when you're in a controlled state, you're not thinking to say that because you feeling if you say it in a controlled state, you're gonna be the oddball. But when you're under hallucinogen and you say it, it's because you was always thinking it. So we ain't gonna make that excuse, Anthony. We better than that. Now, back on to what I was saying. Player model with Kobe Bryant. Kobe had a player model shoe that he was about to bring out here. Now, some people are speculating, Richy Rich, and I want to see what your take is on it. They're saying that maybe that's why Kobe Bryant was gone too soon. I'm not going to get into all of that conspiracy theory. I'm not going to get into all of that. But what's your take on Kobe Bryant having a tenuous relationship with Nike at the end? He was going to sever ties with them, and he was going to create a player model shoe company that was going to be basically the players that were going to have all of their say and all of their ability. And his first clients was going to be Usain Bolt and Gina Ford. What's your take on that?
Now that story, I actually heard about that story. Yeah, I heard about the guy who was actually in partnership with Kobe. He revealed himself. It was the story was trending on Twitter, and this guy was saying that Kobe, he wasn't happy with how Nike was marketing him, marketing his brand, especially after he retired. Kobe still wanted to market his brand, and Nike didn't do a great job at it. I thought that they were a little lackluster while he was playing sometimes, because you didn't really see like as many commercials or marketing projects based around Kobe, in certain parts of his career when he was in Nike. There was sometimes they pushed his product hard, and there was sometimes they didn't really do that. And Kobe, he's that type of athlete, that type of player. Was very popular. We saw, what happened when the whole tragedy happened. All the people that came out and showed Kobe love. Kobe was very popular, and for Nike, I kind of felt that they didn't really take advantage. It's probably because some people could have been some people on their Nike staff or marketing team or the heads, whatever, that was still looking at that Colorado situation. Because you gotta, it's ugly, but you gotta go into it. They're probably like, man, there's probably some people that still don't like Kobe, and we can't really market him the way we want to market him because of that situation. Because you got to look at it like when you're doing business with somebody that has a past, that have that or some type of past that's negative in some type of way. If they're in business with somebody, the business partner is going to look at that, and it might affect what type of arrangement they have with you. And I'm just assuming that's what I'm thinking that's why Nike didn't really really use Kobe to the fullest while he was with Nike. They kind of try to like use mix Kobe in with other players at sometimes. I don't know if you would pay attention to that. When they try to market Kobe with the Nike brand, but I felt that they didn't really get the best out of Kobe. And Kobe probably looked at that situation and he was like, man, these guys could have really marketed me, and they could have got more out of me. I could have been a more. Kobe was already a kind of global star, but they could have made Kobe even bigger because it's Nike now. You know what I'm saying? They pretty much run the apparel game right now, and Kobe Bryant was a huge megastar. They could have used Kobe a lot better. So Kobe, seeing how Kobe is, Kobe's always thinking out of the box. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those athletes that's always thinking out of the box. True one of his kind type of player. You know what I'm saying? Type of athlete. And Kobe, look at Jordan's still with Nike. Jordan's partnership with Nike. But Kobe's like, why not make my own brand, my own separate brand called Mamba? And I saw the shoe design. The shoe design, it looked sick. It looked unique, and I think Kobe would have been able to do great things, man, coming out with that brand, because Kobe already had athletes that highly respected him. So they would have came and they would have signed with him, man, and they would have really pushed that brand, that Mamba brand out. And the Mamba man, the Mamba, he made that like a trademark name with the Mamba mentality. You heard people talking about Mamba and all that. because Kobe
Mm-hmm.
came out with it. Uh, I felt that he would have really pushed that brand and it would have been successful.
Yep.
Because Nike, man, I felt that they dropped the ball when they had an athlete like Kobe Bryant, because
Yep.
they could have did a lot more using him, but it could have been the issue that I mentioned, or other some other issues, where
Yep.
that we probably won't ever figure out, because Nike's going to keep it under wraps. But I saw the conspiracy theories too, but we're not gonna, just like you said, we're not gonna get into that stuff, because it wouldn't be right to talk about stuff like that, because we don't know what's going on with that type of stuff. But
Exactly.
I just felt that seeing how big Kobe was, uh, at the time, Nike could have did a lot more with Kobe, man. But at that time, this one thing we got to go into. They had LeBron too. LeBron was also being is with Nike. They were trying to push it. That's the thing about Nike. They when they're trying to push someone else, they tend to take away from someone else. That's how their whole brand is. And they
There
were
you go.
really trying to push LeBron onto everyone. So it took away from Kobe. And Kobe, I'm one of the best players to ever play the game. Like, why are y'all doing this? But Nike has their agenda. They put $90 million investment in LeBron James. They gotta push this kid onto us. You know, they gotta push this kid onto the world. You know what I'm saying? But LeBron never had that impact like Kobe did. So it didn't make sense to me why they would try to do that. But Kobe's Mamba shoe brand or apparel brand would have been interesting. It would have been something I would have been interested, intrigued to see how he would have been successful
Yep.
with it. I believe he would have been successful, because Kobe, man, he was connected, man, and a lot of people showed this man love. A lot of people respected him, and he had the global markets.
Yep.
China, them people, they were revering Kobe like he was a god, man. Some of the people over there, that's how they was looking at Kobe. And plus,
Yep.
Kobe had the European markets too, Italy,
Yep.
Spain. You know what I'm saying? All those connections Kobe had worldwide, man. He would have pushed that thing. He would have been successful. I believe he would have been successful with it.
And people could see the embodiment of what Kobe Bryant represented, because look at Kobe Bryant's impact in his death. So it's a cop out, man, from Nike. Nike didn't want to touch Kobe Bryant because of what you alluded to, that was cool hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true teller fashion. They were still having lingering ideals of the Colorado situation. Kobe Bryant beat all odds, man. Kobe Bryant turned that whole situation around, in so much so that when we talk about Kobe, unless you're just a flat out polarizing Kobe Bryant hater, you don't think about shit like that. You think about his greatness personification, man. This is a guy who embodied the terminology, and it's a He Knows His Sport original of greatness personification can only be hindered, it can't be stopped. You see Nike now, they're at an all-time low in sales because they went the LeBron route instead of Kobe. If they would have went the Kobe route, Nike would have been thriving. And Nike has to eat that. Phil Knight and them have to eat that shit. And Kobe Bryant was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm a true alpha extraordinary governed by true alpha economics, so I'm going to create my own shit. And I'm going to have everybody fall under me, and they're going to do what they got to do. There's people that are meant to lead truthfully, and then there's fake leaders, man. The people that are meant to actually lead, they have what's called a leadership lasting legacy. They have an impact. And the ones that are just fake with it, they don't have a lasting legacy. Nobody's checking for them unless they fell up under the true leader. That's Kobe Bryant. That's why you saw the Usain Bolts, the Gina Fords, and all of these people were willing to graciously go under Kobe, but it wasn't going to stop there, Richie Rich. This shit was going to go into football. That's how we say it in our language, but it's soccer to you guys. It's really the real football. But anyways, we say football here in America, pastime is football, but football, which is soccer, was the original one that had the terminology of football. Y'all got to do some research. Y'all understand what I'm talking about. Kobe would have had all of those guys, the Messis of the world, Lionel Messi, these types of people that would have been in his branding. You best believe they would have jumped on Mamba, but he couldn't get it done. So it is what it is. But the fact that this guy was going to change the odds and say, you know what, screw the system, we're going to create the system. That tells me everything I need to know about Kobe Bryant. And people like that are they can't last in the world like that. They can't be on the planet too long because their minds are too advanced and it's too beyond what the world can. And God just take them. He just take them. He take them fast. Same thing with Tupac. That's why when Lewis gave that great simile of saying Kobe was a Tupac of basketball, it applies. It sticks. It makes sense. People like that think on that level, playing that mental ability, they are martyrs, man. They're gone. They have to be gone. They can't last long. And you know what's ironic, Richy Rich? Kobe said that he was going to be taken from this earth early. He didn't want to be on this planet long. He only wanted to live 40 plus years. He told Tracy McGrady that. I thought that was so interesting. He told T Mac, I don't want to be on this earth that long. I just want to do what I got to do, make a lasting legacy, make an impact, and then go. That's how it is at that level, man. A lot of times these people, they just go. But anyways, let's get on to the next topic because I feel that it's important and we got to talk about it, man. The last topic is, why are people saying that LeBron James is tied with Kobe Bryant's legacy? I don't understand that. That to me is mind-boggling because these are polar opposite players. Have you guys watched Fist of the North Star? Have you watched Kenshiro and you watch Shin? That's Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. The South Star Fist is inferior to the North Star Fist. So why are we making comparisons and saying that Kobe Bryant and LeBron James is the embodiment of one another, that Kobe Bryant passed on a legacy? Where is the evidence that tells us this? Where is the evidence that tells us that LeBron James was given a legacy from Kobe Bryant? Where's the evidence? Because Kobe Bryant said to keep pushing on, Laker Nation, brother. That's not passing no fucking torch. Who believes that? That's a general statement. That's basically because you were part of the Lakers Nation. Kobe Bryant took anybody in that was part of the Lakers Nation. Kobe Bryant called Kyle Kuzma part of Laker Nation. Because Kyle Kuzma's rocking the fucking jersey. He welcomed everybody that was a purple and gold. He welcomed Dwight Howard, the Big L Goof Troop, to Purple Nation. So we're going to sit here and take that out of context and say that that's what he did. He passed the legacy on to him. Are you freaking kidding me? Go listen to Kobe Bryant's first statement when he talked about LeBron. He don't give a flying fuck about LeBron. He said, now that LeBron James has joined the Lakers fraternity. This is the first thing that came out of Kobe Bryant's mouth. He's joined the Lakers brotherhood. I'm going to treat him like a brother. Do you know why Kobe said that? It wasn't because of LeBron. It's because he joined Kobe Bryant's fraternity, which is the fraternity of the Lakers. He joined the brotherhood. Kobe Bryant didn't respect your ass. If you left the Lakers, Kobe Bryant act like you didn't exist. You remember this? Kobe Bryant would lose your phone number. He would drop you off of social media. When Dwight Howard left the Los Angeles Lakers, this is what Kobe did. And anybody that left, just ask Smush Parker. He's still complaining about it till this day. So we're going to sit here and say that that's a lasting legacy he gave to LeBron James? Come on, man. That's the biggest nonsense I've ever heard in my life. Lasting legacy is when somebody has somebody that's up under them and they mold them, they school them, and they bring them up like he did with Kevin Durant, like he did with Kawhi Leonard, like he did with Jason Tatum, like he did with Kyrie Irving. That's molding. That's different. But out of all of these basketball players, Kobe Bryant told Kevin Durant, you be the greatest, and signed his damn shoes. He didn't tell LeBron James that. So what? What is passing of the torch to you, Richy Rich? Is it, hey, you're part of the Lakers brotherhood, you're part of the fraternity, so because of that, I'm bringing you in and continue on the lasting legacy of the Lakers? Or is it me signing your shoes and telling you be the greatest when you have a league that has LeBron James in it? You have a league that has Stephen Curry in it. You have a league that has all of these Rudy poor plum plum brains in it. James Harden of the world. What is a last step? What is a passing of the torch? Which one sounds like a passing of the torch?
Passing of the torch is when I mean the best player says that. I mean, it's we already know what the true passing of the torch is. It's when another player usurps the current best player in the league, and he takes his crown from him. Like that guy can't win anymore. It's the newer guy that comes up and takes that position, and he's not a guy that's the one that's winning.
And
When
did
the
LeBron James ever
LeBron,
do that?
LeBron never did that.
But what
LeBron
about
never did that.
Kevin Durant?
Kevin
Because
Durant did that.
last time I checked with OKC, Kobe Bryant beat his ass 4-2, and then Kevin Durant came back the next 2 years later, and what did he do, Kobe Bryant?
Beat Kobe Bryant. He beat the Lakers.
Thank you.
Pretty much. That's a true passing. That's what we call a true passing of the torch. When a current like with the previous best player gets beat by the newer guy. That's how it is. And now it's his time to dominate. It's what Jordan did with Magic, with Isaiah. It's what Jordan did. He was able to beat those guys, and it was his time. It was his turn. Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. Larry Bird had his turn. Magic beat him. It was his turn. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. That's how we view the game on a competitive level. And LeBron James, if it's him or if it's its crew, they do a good job at keeping themselves in people's mouths. That's
Yep.
that's basically what they're trying to do. So they
Yep.
want an argument. They want that attention because if people are talking about them, he's gonna have guys come out and say this. You know what I'm saying? Be bold enough to say this. That's all LeBron wants. And I'm not gonna lie, it's smart. It's a smart, scheming way of doing it because you're gonna be able to trick some people that are casuals in basketball, and there's a lot of them, and they're gonna be like, man, if they're going out and they're saying that LeBron is the best and he's on Kobe's legacy, he must be right. Guys that really don't watch the game, they just watch the game, watch during the playoffs. So they watch it because they have a favorite player and they just watch. These are the people that are always getting tricked by what's actually going on now. And LeBron
Yep.
knows this. It's why
Yep.
he's always on social media and he always has something to say about every topic. Because
Yep.
if he keeps his mouth, his name in people's mouths, he's always has these people talking about him, especially First Take, Undisputed, those talking heads on those channels.
Exactly.
People are gonna compare LeBron to those guys. This is all what LeBron wants to do. He always wants to be in those conversations with Jordan,
Right.
Kobe
Right.
Bryant, all those greats. And he's doing a great job at tricking the masses because he's
Mhm.
always keeping his name in these sports shows mouths, always keeping his name in people's mouths, and people are like, damn man, LeBron really must be the GOAT.
Yep.
If he's doing this, he's being compared with Michael Jordan. He is the GOAT. He
Yep.
just won this champion. They're saying he's the GOAT, so he must be the GOAT.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a scheming way of doing it, but it's working for him. And he has the right amount of people coming out and saying that they're on Jordan. He's on Jordan's level. He's on Kobe's level. It's working. You know what I'm saying? We can't say it's not working because it is. Look what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? And I just, I from my standpoint, man, it's just the way this thing is, man. It's just so cheap nowadays, man. It's just cheap, man. You got people, man, that's watching the game, man, that they don't know the history of the game. They don't follow the game the way it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? And with that kind of hurts that hurts the game a little because now you got guys coming out and saying LeBron's this, LeBron's that, but when you look at this man's resume, we can't say this, man. When you look at the path that he's taken in the game, we can't say this. The circumstances that he's put himself in to win, to continue to be the face of the NBA. Because
Yep.
let's face it, LeBron's supposed to be irrelevant right now. If he decided to stay in Cleveland, would he have been where he's at right now? Would he accomplished what he's accomplished as of now? No. Let's be
Nope.
honest. This guy,
Nope.
this guy went to Miami Heat, teamed up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and he still went to 7 games with a Paul George led Indiana basketball team, a mediocre Indiana team that had a clumsy Roy Hibbert. David West was the leader of that team, but let's face it, David West wasn't no star player. You know, if you could put the mindset of David West and Paul George, yeah, maybe they would have been able to get over the Heat. But that team was just you know, like a silly team, man, that made a lot of mistakes, and the Heat were able to eventually take advantage of that team. But that was a team that was able to push that Miami Heat team to 7 games. If we're looking at Kobe Bryant, we're looking at Michael Jordan. Would they allow themselves to go to Game 7 against a team like that? Hell no. Let's be honest. Would those guys not show up against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011? Would they give you any doubt that, okay, damn man, this dude look like he not playing out there? What's wrong with this dude? He look like he not giving his best effort. No, not Kobe, not Jordan, but LeBron James. He's done that, man, to us. He's shown that he's that type of player. If things are shaky with him, he looks like he checks out. Not Kobe, not Jordan. Come on now. LeBron has had other moments where he's checked out, you know, against the Spurs. You know what I'm saying? Against the Warriors. He's had multiple moments in his career when he's been on the big stage where he is checked out because he felt that, okay, damn, these guys are gonna beat us. They're not gonna, you know, we don't have the advantage, so I'm not really gonna bust my ass out there anymore. I'm just gonna get my stats and I'm gonna fool the masses. They're gonna see I got my 38-7 or my 39-9. They're gonna be like, you see, I got my stats and everybody else didn't show up. That's how, man, LeBron is good at tricking these people because these people don't pay attention. You know,
Yep.
and that's what the game is at now, man. People
Yep.
gotta pay attention. They gotta look at the eye test.
Yep. I'm glad you said that, man, because when it's all said and done, people need to understand that Kobe Bryant never passed no damn torch to LeBron James. Kobe Bryant passed the torch to Kevin Durant. If we're judging basketball at its highest levels and we're judging basketball truly for what basketball truly is, that's what it is at its truest and its most properest levels. Greatness personification passes the torch to greatness personification. Greatness personification does not pass the torch to greatness mimication. That means mimicking greatness personification. You cannot pass the torch to someone that mimics it. You only pass the torch to someone that personifies it. Let me say it again. You can't pass greatness to someone that mimics it. You pass greatness to someone who personifies it. Kevin Durant personifies greatness. So greatness personification was passed on to him. LeBron James mimics greatness. So you can't pass greatness on to him. Because when you mimic something, that means you are a similitude of it, but you lack the fullness thereof. So, i.e., you are not it in the first place, and you were never it. That's what people need to understand in this most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truth-teller fashion. Kobe Bryant deserves all of the respect in the world. He deserves all of the nod. And today, we found interesting ways to talk about Kobe in so many different aspects, so many different facets, and so many different variations. We're not going to forget Kobe over here in this platform. Everybody else, after the whole, few months, they forgot. We're not forgetting Kobe over here. We're never going to forget Kobe because we understand what Kobe meant to the game of basketball. And every so often, we're going to talk about Kobe being Bryant. So Kobe needed this moment so that we could remember again, because it's 12 months since this man passed away. So it only made sense to re-bring up his memory and to re-talk about him. And we'll revisit this in 90 days again. Next week, we'll get back on to regular scheduled version of basketball. But y'all need to reminisce on what Kobe Bryant meant to this game of basketball, what he did, what his impact is. Because truth be told, LeBron James's impact in basketball is because of Kobe Bryant. And if he wasn't watching Kobe Bryant and wasn't being a freaking fanboy of Kobe Bryant, LeBron wouldn't be halfway where he's at. Well, listen to LeBron. Sounded like a little weird fanboy. You remember when he was sitting next to Kobe? You could tell the difference between them. One looked like the grown-up in the room. The other one looked like a kid. Oh, I study you. I watch you. That's the shit that came out of his mouth. And Kobe was looking at him like this with his face. Hey, the fuck? I would say the same thing too. Like, the fuck? What you talking about, though? I know you studied me. I know you watched. That's what came out of his mouth. I study you. I watch you. When you go like this, I know what that means. You remember that shit? And you go like this, I know what it means. He studied Kobe, man. That's what these motherfuckers ain't telling you. Kobe was the one that brought a standard. All of this, LeBron works on his body, trainers. Who you think brought that to LeBron James? It was Kobe being Bryant. He saw what Kobe was doing with Tim Grover, and LeBron was like, I got to put the Twinkies down. You know LeBron was eating Twinkies and fucking Mickey D's? This is what LeBron was doing. And then he saw Kobe Bryant come in, get up at 4 a.m., get 3 hours of sweat in, and then go play basketball for a few hours with these guys, and then go do a 3 a day at the end of the day and lift weights. And he was like, what the heck? This is ridiculous. A guy trains at this level, a guy at this peak, this is why he's able to do what he's able to do on the basketball court. Oh, I got to step my game up. They don't tell you this, man. They don't understand this, dog. And what people have to understand is what's understood don't need to be explained. And Kobe Bryant's greatness personification can only be hindered. It can't be stopped. It's understood. The motherfucker don't have to be explained. But we did explain it because we had to re-bring it back to your memories 12 months later on what this man meant to the game of basketball. All of these Rudy Poo and Plum brains moved on to LaFraud James. All of these classic Dolce Troglodytes moved on to the Guffer Folk, greatest final failure of all time. All of these ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric moved on to this Mickey Mouse version, this fraudulent fluky on the spot version, this least path of resistance version, this NBA pickup game version of the purple and gold. This is Love Participation Award era at its finest. But KB24 and his greatness personification, it can only be hindered. The motherfucker can't be stopped. Kobe is that dude, man. And you guys need to understand that. What he meant to the game of basketball is everything and then some. Absence talking about Kobe Bryant, especially in this month, if you're a content creator and you're not talking about Kobe Bryant, shame the fuck on you, man. It's 1 year since the motherfucker passed. You should be talking about Kobe. Don't leave it that he knows the sport to always lead the fucking pack. Kobe should be coming out your rabbit ass mouth. If you don't do one Kobe video where you don't pay homage to Kobe, Genghis Khan about to come the fuck back out. He knows the sport warpath mode about to come the fuck back out. All you Rudy Poo and Plum brains. All you classic Dolce Troglodytes. All you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. And you know when I get on that warpath mode, y'all already know what it is. The month of December denoted that. Big channels fell. Their dynasties crumbled. Under the mighty storm with the Stormbreaker, he knows the sport, dog. So don't get me started. I better see some damn Kobe homage videos. If I don't see that shit, it's over. Kobe Bryant is that dude, man. He deserves that fucking respect. Y'all gonna give him his damn respect. We're not gonna talk about LeBron James and this nonsense of LeBron James or LaFraud James and what he represents in the game of basketball. I mean, come on, we got to have standards out here in these basketball streets. Are we going to uphold the standards of Kobe Bryant? Or are we going to keep talking LaFraud James? Y'all pick and choose, man. Any closing thoughts you got to say, Richy Rich? Work me up right now, man.
I can see it, man. I can see you about to go in, man, because, yeah, I totally agree with you, man. It's going to be literally 23 days, man, since Kobe passed away, man, with his daughter and the other people that were on that helicopter. And it's going to open up, some old wounds, man. People are going to get emotional again. It's going to be a year, 23 days since this man passed away. And I remember when we were when we were about to start the show, man, and the stuff just came in. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, it's like one of those moments where you don't. You watch Kobe all your life, and then just like when we first heard that Tupac died, in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, man. Like you don't know these people, man, personally, but you shape because you grew up watching these people or listening to them, and
Yep.
it was a part of your livelihood, and you hear them pass, man, and that thing just rocks you,
Yep.
because especially if you were a fan of that person, you know what I'm saying? It just rocks you to the core because you can't believe it, and the manner that he was taken, man, a helicopter crash, it
Mm-hmm.
was sad all around, man. So
Yep.
I agree with you, man. This month, knowing that, this is the month that, the tragedy happened, people that should pay homage to him, people who are running the channel that talks about basketball or covers basketball should pay homage to Kobe, and they should have some topics discussing, this man's impact on the game of basketball, what he was doing, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that's that's a respect level, that's the respect level that Kobe deserves. And appreciate for you all, coming to the show. Appreciate he knows for you bringing me on. Uh, I look forward to the upcoming topics that you have, and
Mm-hmm.
us discussing them, dissecting them, and the other guests who are going to come on. You know, have a safe week. Hopefully, everyone has a good week. It's a new year, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident that big things are going to happen for all of us this year. Just remain positive, and that's all I can say. Peace.
Appreciate everyone that showed up and showed out in the chat. Make sure you guys subscribe to the support platform. Comment, like, and share. Give your Sunday's best, whatever you could give. Super chat, cash app. You know what I'm saying? We taking $5 donations or more. Appreciate you guys. You know what I'm saying? We're bringing that heat and that far, and we keeping the foot on the what on the next. We keeping the foot on the what on the next, man. Kobe Bryant had to get his homage paid to him and let Sport be the first one to do it. And then we're gonna get back on to basketball topics, man. Salute to everyone. Salute to everyone in the chat. Salute to everyone that participated throughout this live stream. We really appreciate you guys. Y'all be easy. Y'all have a great Sunday. Everyone stays COVID free. Peace.